Whilst some believe that our universe is of no more consequence than a single atom in a solar system, others suppose that innumerable universes exist, each with their own intelligent life, their own model of reality, and their own laws of nature. With so much on offer, perhaps we should consider the possibility of a universe with only 2 dimensions, or one with 20, or a cosmos in which the past, present, and future all exist at once. Something as fanciful as a universe where inhabitants exist as multiple entities simultaneously and travel between the worlds is instantaneous. Places on the other side of the Big Bang where all the clocks run backwards and ruined castles rebuild themselves. I think that there are far stranger things than anything human mathematicians or astrophysicists have come to dream of. When I try to expand my mind to visualize the infinite possibilities, it brings me right back to the 2 most important atoms, the 2 that bind us together in the single molecule of a relationship. This journey is about some of those relationships, and another universe, a very real place where the unholy houses of our worries have roses around the door, and every good strand in our life is a creeping stone bramble. All the masters understand suffering, and when dark and light are divided. Back at the apartment, I began to explain what had happened at the club. Well, I explained some of it. But then we were both as bad as each other with the compulsions and the addictions. Olga said that she would help me get some help first, starting with a dentist. She screamed that I should check into a rehabilitation centre. She really screamed at me. She was charged and wild. She said that she loved me, but couldn't take any more. I stepped out of the shower and wrapped a towel around my waist. I began collecting drops of blood from my nose and mouth. The bathroom was filled with steam. The mirrors were dripping with condensation. The sink and shower tray splattered with blood. She was standing by the bathroom door with her bag and her keys, looking nervous and scared and stoned. I felt like a dog waiting to get whipped. "I'm sorry," I said. "Don't be sorry. Just stop what you were doing. We've both got to stop." I asked her where she was going, and she told me. "Sylvia's house. To think." "Do you hate me?" I asked. "No, I don't hate you. I just want to know who the hell has done this to you." "No, I think I know who's done it. I just want to know why." "It's a long story. It always is with you." Something came to my mind to tell her that it was time to go. "Let's make a run for the sun. I have to be free. Is the car ready?" When she assured me that it was right outside the door, I said, "Good, I'm ready." She asked me where we would be going, and I said that I wasn't sure. The only thing that I was clear of in my mind was that I had this trip coming up, and that the time had come. "I'm going," she said. "I'm sorry. I just can't do this anymore. One of us will end up dead." She snapped her keys into her handbag and walked out of the bathroom. I closed my eyes and tried to ignore the nightmare in the mirror. Another torn-up refugee from the Chancers Club, a doom-struck gimp who couldn't handle the pressure. My head was stinging, my mouth hurting. My nose felt broken, my insides bruised. When I breathed in, my right hand ribs felt cracked. I rubbed my stomach, and I could feel it coming, the spew rising up in my throat, hard and fast. I couldn't stop it. Probably did me good riding through it. The spew came, and there was nothing I could do. I dried myself off, got dressed, and walked to the living room. When I lay down on the sofa, I was overcome by fatigue. I closed my eyes for a few moments, and I was asleep. When I woke up, I couldn't move. I was lying face down on the carpet with the carpet stuck to my cheek. I could smell carpet and puke. And with no people to fill a place, it's hard to adjust to a soundscape of comfortably routine car horns, children running around next door. It's no way to hunker down. I walked over to the tube and turned it on, a dead channel. White noise at maximum decibels. I began changing channels until I found the perfect sound for taking life. A suicide bomb in Manchester, the Daily News roundup, local gun crime on the increase, a commercial for razor blades, and then back to the powerful and continuous hiss that could drown out any sudden movement. I looked at the glass coffee table, scattered with cosmetics, a whiskey bottle, a vodka bottle, orange and pomegranate juice cartons, a tub of multicoloured straws, a small square mirror, and a box of cold, greasy chips. I spotted half a glass of room-warmed drink and swallowed it back, tasting acid bile, making me heave again. I traced my fingers across my face, and everything was swollen. I put a finger in my mouth, over the nerves of my now broken teeth, and pressed down my tongue to take a look at the pale green at the back of my throat. When I did, my lips cracked. I wasn't hungry, but I knew I should eat something for sustenance. I reached for a handful of chips, pressed them together, and pushed them into my mouth, right to the back of my throat, washing them down with warm booze. I remember the door buzzer going. When I picked up the videocom, there were two men standing down on the terrace that I didn't recognise. One had long black greasy hair and the other short hair and a beard. They looked rough, hard, a pair of desperate burned out addicts. I crossed the room noiselessly and crept towards the window. They both smoked and were leering up towards the top floors of the building. After a couple of minutes, they sloped off. I slowly trailed down the stairs and stepped cautiously out of the door to try and get a look at which way they had gone, but it was too late. In those days, the buzzer didn't go that often, and if it did, I would draw back into the fabric of the apartment. Only at a persistent buzz would I sneak out from behind a curtain, creep over the carpet, and make my way to the top of the stairs to look at the videocom. When I looked the next time, I saw two different men, one business type in a crumpled black suit, and the other a huge Asian man in a blue tracksuit. The businessman was standing back from the door, looking about the building and the empty parking space. From my vantage point at the top of the stairs, I had a clear view of the front door, and after a few moments the Asian man broke open the letterbox. I could see his hooked nose edging through the gap, the scar on his cheek still red and raw, his bulging brown eyes shining greedily around my hallway. After a moment or two, he stood up, patted his pockets, took out a packet of cigs, chewed one into his mouth and sparked up. He took a drag and handed it to the businessman who was talking into his phone. He put the cigarette between his teeth and carried on talking through the smoke, with the sentences coming out with a hiss from between his teeth. A broad Cockney accent, rapid and aggressive, his eyebrows shooting up. Finally, he shook his head, put away the phone, and they both left. I came out onto the road this time. When I looked up, grey clouds filled the sky and the trees were bare. A chill was setting in and the pavement weeds were dying. I was still damp, and without shoes or a shirt, I began to dither. A car passed by, and the man driving by was looking over at me. I thought that I recognised him. It looked like the private detective that Jean employed to keep track of debtors. With limbs like jelly, I took baby steps back up the stairs, bruised and aching with each excruciating lifting of a leg. When I got back inside the apartment, I turned and was suddenly shocked by my own image in the mirror. My face was ashen, and there was a lump on my forehead the size of a boiled egg. I had no nose, just a purple and red swollen mess across my cheeks. My mouth was hideously swollen, and both my lips were cut. It felt like all of my front teeth were broken or cracked. Both eyes were practically closed, and the carpet around the bathroom was covered in spew and blood. I couldn't look at myself anymore. I couldn't face myself. I couldn't look into my own eyes. I was an addict and a cheat, and I was finished. I could feel the warmth from the air conditioning wrap around my body. It slowed the shaking down. You probably realise by now that I have these storms of emotions, and they have this trick of working themselves out. After a time, I realised that I was totally screwed, and with little bits of regurgitated food all about me on the carpet, I got up almost mechanically, went into the dining room, drank some vodka, and slid down the wall. I know what I needed. I needed something that would fill me with glory. I had an idea, something that would take the pain away. I needed to be wasted. That was the solution. That fast became an obsession. I began tearing up the apartment, just looking for the box. I put a chair by the kitchen cabinets and stood up to get a look on top. No sense of satisfaction came. I pulled out the bottom pan drawer of the cooker. Nothing. I was looking in all of the familiar places. At the bottom of the wardrobe, I was screaming. Could I find it? I couldn't find the box, and I was screaming the walls down. The rooms were empty, just me, and I was screaming into nothing, at nobody. More than anything, I didn't want Olga to go. Not on that day, of all days. I just needed her around, but she wasn't answering. At least 6 times I called. She was avoiding me. No matter how close we became, she says that she felt alone. We are 2 lonely people, Sol. Another cold white Russian reminder. 2 lost people. And now the dread was scaring me to distraction. I pulled drawers from the kitchen cabinet, smashed them on the floor. Kitchen knives, forks, spoons, plates, cups. I'm back in the living room with bottles of booze and a bag of goodies. I'm using everything in large amounts as fast and as hard as I can. I'm calling her a bitch as I run around the white heap on the table. I'm wasted to the edge of insanity, and it feels normal. It feels good, just like the first time. I know I'm troubled, and this was always to be my fate. I found the gun at the bottom of the box under the bag of goodies, a dusty, chugging, clinking revolver. 38 Eliminator. I knew how to hold it, look down its sight, smell the burnt cordite down the barrel. I knew how to use that gun. I went to the bottom of the garden and thought what to write to the family that had written me off. Dear all of you, this is my heart, and I'm talking truthfully. Standing with my back to that dangerous fence, I ratcheted open the cylinder, and it sent the gun off balance. It had a bullet in every chamber. I could see the lead tips. I spun it, and it clicked shut like it was a work of liquid blue genius. Unfashionable, uncompromising, but genius. I pressed the barrel over my broken teeth and into my mouth. It was cold, and it felt right. Every chamber was full. It was obvious what would happen. I spun the cylinder again. Click, click, click. And it stopped. I hooked my thumbs around the trigger, my body crippled with vodka, and my mind with everything else. I was as wasted as hell, and my thumbs were pulling on the trigger, pulling, 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 squeezing, squeezing.